TED Talk. Today we will be analyzing Mozart's sonata in C major. First, we have the exposition, which starts in measure 1 and ends at measure 26 with a perfect, authentic cadence ending in G major. This section is labeled as the exposition because it is the initial statement of the primary material. Next, we have the primary material, which also begins in measure 1 and ends at measure 12 and is also in C major. This is the primary material because it appears multiple times throughout the sonata and is transposed and developed throughout the work. The transitional material subsequently begins at measure 9 because it has a C sharp in the scale, which indicates a modulation into G major. Finally, we have the medial caesura. The medial caesura is in measure 12 and acts as a transition and a pause from the primary material to the secondary material, which is in the following measure. You can recognize it because it comes after a cadential point.
Alright, now we're on the secondary material. The secondary material begins at measure 14 and is in G major. This is considered to be secondary material because it introduces a new theme. It contains embellishments such as trills and turns. The closing material begins at measure 26. In this section we are still in G major. It returns to tonic from the dominant and is anticipated with a trill. The final measure of the codetta is a perfect authentic cadence. Then the piece repeats itself, but we're not gonna repeat. The development begins at measure 29 and is in G minor.
Yeah!
G!
Alright, yeah!
So now that we got that out of our system, the piece is now in G minor. It is new thematic material that we haven't heard before. In this section, there are running 16th notes that pass between the right and left hand, giving the section forward momentum.
In this example, there is no returning thematic material from the exposition in the development. The primary material returns in measure 42 in the key of F major. This is the recapitulation. The transitional material begins in measure 54, bringing us to the new key area of C major. The medial caesura is in measure 58 brings us to the secondary material. The secondary material is presented in the same way as it was in the exposition.
We now reach the closing codetta. This closing codetta, just like in the exposition, is anticipated with a trill and ends with a perfect authentic cadence, ending the piece in C major just as it began. Now, I'm sure you're wondering if there are unusual features about this piece, and I can tell you, there are none. So a little historical background about this piece. It was described by Mozart as an easy piece for beginners. It was added into his catalog around the same time he cataloged the infamous Symphony No. 39. This piece was never published or heard in Mozart's lifetime. It was premiered in 1805, so there's not a lot of reason for why he wrote it, because it wasn't published until after he died. Yay. Thank you for watching our analysis. We hope you enjoyed it. Now, let's take a listen to that sonata, shall we?